Company. So let me give you a little history about the WWF and its former owner, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So Vince McMahon was born, he was a World War II baby, August 24th, 1945, a Leo. In North Carolina, he was the son of a wrestling promoter and began working as a ringside announcer for his father's business, the Capital Wrestling Corporation, which would later become the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, that would later become the World Wrestling Federation, that would later become World Wrestling Entertainment. Um, he bought the company from his father in 1982 and decided to change the trajectory of wrestling. Wrestling was basically territories. So think of it as a crime syndicate, because it's often described as a crime syndicate, where all of these different promoters had different territories, different locations in which they ran their promotion. Vince McMahon and his father ran a promotion in northeast part of the United States. There was a mid-Atlantic promotion. There was a Georgia promotion. There was a Florida promotion. There were several promotions in Texas. There was a Mid-South promotion that accompanied Oklahoma and Louisiana. There was a Northwest promotion that was based out of Portland. So they had all these different promotions. What he did is when he bought his dad's company, everybody had regional television rights, or if they had television rights, they were regional. He wanted to take his company national. There was unwritten rules that you would not promote your wrestling show in other territories. Well, he broke all the rules. He offered other promoters their company. Some sold. The ones that didn't, he was going in that territory anyway, and he had the biggest star, Hulk Hogan, who he took from the AWA, which was a company based out of Minnesota, but it ran pretty much like I knew it, because it was when I was living in Illinois, like AWA was a big thing. He was a huge star in AWA after Rocky III. Vince McMahon saw the star potential in him, signed him up, brought him to the WWF, put Rockin' Wrestling, when they made an agreement with MTV, that was a new channel at that time, created Rockin' Wrestling, and started doing these big events that eventually led to WrestleMania. And everybody knows what WrestleMania is. If you know anything about wrestling, you know about WrestleMania. Along the way, there have been some allegations of sexual misconduct within the company. So realize that not only is it a wrestling promotion, it's a company. So there is a corporate side. They have corporate offices in Stamford, Connecticut. There's a corporate side to the entire company, right? It's not just wrestlers and bookers and writers. There's also legal staff and people that do admin and payroll. It's an entertainment company. So it's not solely the performers. There's also people like you that work in the office, the headquarters of WWE. And there have been some sexual assault allegations through the years, right? A former female wrestler was accused other wrestlers of sexually assaulting her during an overseas trip. Years later, whether this is connected or not, she committed suicide. There has been a ring boy scandal. There's been some sexual assault allegations. In 2022, Vincent McMahon resigned from his post because his company is a publicly traded company, and they found out that he had been paying hush money to certain employees that he had had a sexual relationship with. Vince McMahon, this is a family-run business for the most part, right? Like, he bought it from his father. His kids were running it with him, high-ranking executives. His wife was a high-ranking executive in the company as well. But when he went public, you have a board of directors, and they found out about this, found out he had been paying people hush money, and that the hush money that he was paying was because he sexually assaulted somebody. And so he resigned. He later, 2 years later, forced his way back in because he's still the majority stakeholder in the company, forced his way back in, led to a sale to the company that owned the UFC, and they merged UFC and WWE WWE together to become TKO. Now, UFC still has their own thing. WWE still has their own thing, but they're part of a larger company called TKO, where he was a board of director and it was a high ranking. He was an executive in the WWE. Well, that hush money that he paid in an NDA became null and void as far as this person was concerned because he didn't pay all the money. He paid $1 million of the $3 million that he was supposed to pay. So a former WWE employee, Janelle Grant, filed a federal lawsuit accusing Vince McMahon and other WWE executive of serious sexual misconduct. This all came out this week and before a major event, the Royal Rumble, which is the start to the road to WrestleMania. So if you guys out here are paying attention to the actual specifics of wrestling, is not very, very important to what I'm saying. But I want to give you guys context. Everybody pretty much knows what WrestleMania is. Even if you don't follow wrestling, there's certain things about wrestling that you know. You know Hulk Hogan, you know The Rock, you know Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know WrestleMania. That is synonymous as a Super Bowl. Even if you don't watch football, you know what the Super Bowl is. Even if you don't watch college basketball, you know what the Final Four is. Even if you don't watch baseball, you know what the World Series is. So that's what WrestleMania is. So it's a known thing, and we're on the Royal Rumble is the start to the road to WrestleMania. So think the start of the NCAA tournament. When everybody fills out their bracket, this is the start of it. Yes, the Final Four is the major conclusion of those brackets being filled out. Right? That's the end goal. That's the big event. But this is all part of some larger event, and the road to WrestleMania begins at the Royal Rumble, which determines kind of what the main event of WrestleMania is going to be. So WrestleMania happened this past Saturday, January the 27th, I believe, Saturday night. And it's a big deal. It's the start to the road to WrestleMania. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notification button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/unsolicited perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.